YouTube? What is up? Welcome back to the Radar for Rasslin Studios.
What up, Marks?
NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver Night 2 just finished up.
Dude.
It ended a lot later than Night 1 did. They took their liberties with the fact that it was on Peacock only, and they have a lot of stroke with Peacock, so they kept it going. But it was an interesting show. I go right off the bat, I think Night 1 was a better show overall, but we still got some interesting things that went down. A little bit anticlimactic when it came to the finish of the last match and how the way it ended the show. It was not the championship match. It was Cole and Oreilly that ended the show. But we're going to get into it, give you our quick thoughts on all the matches and how everything went down. So, let's get into this. But before we do it, I might you guys drop a like and a comment down below. What you guys thought about Night 2? Did you like Night 1 better? Did you like Night 2 better? What was your favorite match of Night 2? How did you think everything turned out? There were some spots where you kind of would have changed things, or you just enjoy the whole thing. Let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Notification bell, when new videos drop. Let's get right into it. In the first match, well, technically the first match on the pre-show was this tag match because they decided to play out my boys Breezango last night and not put him in the title match. But this match, they put him Breezango versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane to see who becomes number one contender to face MSK, who just won them titles last night. And in the end, Dane and Maverick win. Unfortunately, because Breezango should have been winning this matchup. Breezango should be the title holders all year round. But the match, it just was what it was. It's just a pre-show match, right? So there's not much to it. Dane and Maverick get the win. They'll face MSK down the road. Who knows when? I'm not sure if it's gonna happen on Tuesday when they debut on Tuesday. Who knows what's gonna happen? But it's a simple match. That's all it is. Nothing too crazy here. Nothing too much to write home about. Yeah,
I'm surprised. Like Killian Dane and Maverick haven't really been a tag team like on TV for a little bit, right? Am I right? Or just they've been useless?
No, I mean they've been a tag team for a little bit of time, but they haven't done a ton yet.
But they haven't done I forgot they were a tag team recently, just because I was like, what happened to Killian Dane? I don't remember what happened to him. So it's just kind of random that they're in the picture, but I guess that's who's the first team to lose to MSK, so it is what it is.
Yeah, so that's the way the show started. Well, the pre-show, and I'll say the way the show started, and it started off with a bang, and it was the ladder match, NXT Cruiserweight Unification ladder match. Santos Escobar, the champion, and then Jordan Devlin, the champion. So they're here to unify the titles. This is the match that we've been waiting for, but it was good. It just, I don't know. It wasn't. I don't know if it was. It was weird. I don't know if it was. It just felt like not at all clicked. I still enjoyed the match because it was brutal. They had some big spots. But it was what it was. It just wasn't there like we thought it was. Like it was gonna. We thought it was gonna steal the whole entire 2 nights. This match was gonna steal the whole thing, right? Like we thought that was gonna be it. But it just wasn't. It was kind of weird. Escobar gets the win. He had Legado Fantasma help out in the end to help him get the win. But he holds both titles, which I thought that was the right call, right? Because you have Devlin. There, he's probably not going to stick around. Maybe go back to the UK, and then you have Santos Escobar, who's just, I don't know, he's better character developed than Devlin is. So I just think it makes more sense for him to be champion. So it really wasn't that great of a match, and it kind of disappointed. But it's tough to live up to the hype that we thought it was going to be. That was going to steal the whole 2 nights.
I think that's the was the chemistry of the show tonight. It was there was a lot of matches that we thought were gonna be oh my god matches, and they were good. I'd say they weren't good, but I don't think any of the matches lived up to what we were expecting. And just because we were expecting a lot because the booking was so good and just the build up, everything was so good. So the whole night that was kind of the story where things weren't really vibing for me and for you. And I know the internet said people weren't loving the matches either. Not that they weren't good matches, but they just didn't live up to the hype. And this is what was the case in this match. Really good match, some good spots, but just I don't know if it was missing the NXT big crowd. I think this night was just missing the big fight feel because the crowd wasn't there. I don't know why Night 1 the chemistry was all there, everything was flowing, every match felt really good. This night, I don't know, things just didn't vibe as well. It was weird. This match was the precursor for the entire show. Just it was good, but it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a good match. Enjoyed it, but it just wasn't good. What we thought it was going to be. And it was going to be
the intensity wasn't there. I don't know what it was. I just don't think the fire was there from both guys. I was a little bit disappointed by it.
Yeah, I was as well. I still enjoyed it in general, but I probably enjoyed it the most out of the majority of the matches on this show. I think it was, I don't know, it just there's something off about that match. But that was the first match of the show, right? So the next match on the show is the NXT Women's Championship Tag Team Championship. Shotzi and Ember are the champions, taking on the Way, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. This is actually it's a good match. I enjoyed it. It's a solid tag match, and it really showcased how the titles are way more important on NXT than they are on the main roster, and that the tag team division already is like a better product on NXT than it is on the main roster.
It's that part. It's not even close, and these tag teams have been together for like 10 minutes, and they're way more developed than tag teams that have been on the main roster for months and months and months. It's unbelievable how much better it is.
Yeah. And the thing I want to highlight in this match was the big dive that Shotzi took out there, and I don't know if it was that she overshot it or Indy and Candice were too far apart from each other, but she went like straight through them. They saved her. She almost got hurt in that spot. It was a dangerous spot there, but in the end, Shotzi and Ember hold on to the titles. I believe Hartwell was the one that took the pin. And they continue to lose. Like they lose she loses all the time on takeovers, Candice LeRae. So that's just like her thing, I guess. She's gonna lose on all the takeovers. But the right team won. You got to keep the titles on, keep them strong,
I think so too.
Keep them on a run, keep them going, keep them elevating those titles and continuously elevating them, keeping them important, because you don't want to go down the same route that they went down with the main roster women tag titles. So it was a solid, good match. Solid B match right here, and it was what it was. You're not expecting a crazy thing from this match, but you got what the match was supposed to be.
Yeah, good match. I think this was a very probably the second best match of the night. I think the ladder match was the best one. This one was right there. Again, this one I didn't have a lot of hype going into it, so it kind of just overshot what I was feeling. So it was going to be good. I'm excited for the women's tag division in NXT. I think it's strong. Just thinking back to a couple weeks ago when Io Shirai jumped on the entire NXT roster. There was a bunch of random girls that we didn't know they were there. I'm sure they're going to start building tag teams with all those ladies. So it should be a fun division. It should be exciting to see an actual tag team, women's tag team, taken serious and actually something we can get behind and watch TV. Because on the main roster, it's a joke. It's devaluing the superstars who have them. So since Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax been gone, they've been complete trash. So it's been complete garbage over there. So hopefully they're doing the complete opposite NXT. I'm enjoying it. Shotzi, Ember Moon, loving it. Let's continue rolling. And I don't know. I felt bad for the way just because I kind of wanted the Garganos to have belts and have make that stable feel a little more important. So I was part of me was like, you know what, maybe they should win, but I think the right team did win. And this feud I don't think is over, because there's not really another developed tag team on there that can really hold up with Ember and Shotzi. So I don't think this is over. Not by a long shot.
That's the problem, is that they don't really have that many tag teams established. So who do you go to after this? So it'll be interesting who comes up as another tag team to face them on in the near future. So let's get to the next match. It was the NXT North American Championship match. You had the champion Johnny Gargano facing the winner of the Gauntlet match the previous night, Bronson Reed, colossal Bronson Reed, who was surprised to win yesterday, but he won. And this was a good match that was it's put together quick because of the whole Gauntlet stipulation and everything that. But the Reed, he does a really good job. He really does. And you have Johnny Takeover, who came out with the whole. I like his new entrance video where it looks like Batman with the bat signal, and then he came out dressed like Iron Man. So I thought, that's cool. Johnny Takeover. You know what you're gonna get out of Johnny Gargano every single takeover. He's gonna put together a very, very solid to great match. And that's what you got here. You got a good match between the two. Obviously, we knew that Bronson Reed came into this match not to win, but to build him as like a possible eventual North American champion down the road. Which, even though there's a couple things they did a little weird in the Gauntlet match, him winning was a little strange and it was a little bit of a surprise, but it's a good thing because it catapults him into another level, in that mid-card level, where he could be established there and continue to have a run there and maybe eventually win that title. He'll continue to feud with those guys in the same tier, and it was a solid good match. And you know what you're gonna get out of Johnny Takeover. You already know what's gonna happen, but in the end, he got the win. Gargano, he holds on to the title. You got to keep it on him because you flopped that North American Championship just a little bit too much, so you have to keep the title on one guy. So let's have him. You continue having Gargano on a run, because what do you do with him after he loses that title is interesting, but keep the title on him now. Have him beat a handful of opponents, and then have that right guy to come along and beat him.
Yeah, so this is the match that got me. I thought this was the worst match. Not that it was a bad match, just it was the most uninteresting because the fact that it didn't have a lot of hype into it, and like Reed just kind of felt thrown into this match and kind of felt like a filler, a stopgap for Johnny and something bigger. So that's where this didn't fit into the whole vibe. This is fine on a normal takeover, but this is WrestleMania week. Takeover is a really important week. This and SummerSlam takeover are huge takeovers. Like that's like the two pinnacle shows. So this just felt kind of thrown together and didn't feel all that important. I think that's why Dexter Lumis already having a feud with the Gargano and Theory and the whole way would have made a lot more sense going into it and been more impactful and just felt way more important. But kind of is what it is. So yeah, it was what it was. Good match. Gargano, Bronson Reed is somebody that we can look forward to in the future as somebody that's going to be a viable star, and they're building him well. But just it felt like a filler in a more important pay-per-view, or whatever they call these things nowadays.
Yeah, so obviously, that's what it felt like, because it was just like filled in, right? Like it just happened. Yeah. It was part of it because of what happened that transpired the night before. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, Lumis was like storyline wise would have made more sense. It probably would have added a little bit more to the match because you have that built-in story behind it. But let's get to the next thing on the show, the NXT Championship match, which is not the final match on the show. It's the second to last. Finn Balor, the champion, taking on Karrion Kross, the former champion who never lost the title. The match itself was a good match. There wasn't a bad match on the show, right? So don't get us wrong saying that the matches were bad. We just didn't like it. But overall, there wasn't a bad match on the show, and they're all kind of like in the same tier, right? I think it's hard to separate them all.
Yeah. Like nothing was like overly like I was so hyped. I think if there was a crowd there, like a big crowd,
it might have changed it. Yeah,
it might have got me more excited for. But nothing felt that special. I don't know. It was a weird night. It was a weird vibe. First night on the cock. Just being the first thing was kind of weird. It was a cock view, so it was weird. I don't know. It felt different. It felt out of place. It was a weird event. I just think it was because a lot of. Seeing the Peacock thing was weird. I don't know. It just didn't feel normal.
Yeah, and it sucks too because Peacock lets you like rewind, so it's like stupid.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not loving the cock, bro. The cock is not a good.
Yeah, so far so far Peacock's like, really not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, even watching normal stuff like Office and other things, I don't love the. It's an ugly operating system. Like it's almost as ugly as Amazon Prime. Those are like two of the ugliest operating systems
for streaming. Yeah, it's very clustered and like not
hard to look at. Like it's hard to find stuff. Where Netflix is like nice and streamlined, and so is Hulu, and this is complete trash. So I mean, WWE Network was so well done. It's like you guys really messed that up.
They messed it up, but you obviously know why they did it. Whatever, maybe it'll get better in the future. But going back to the match, Kross Balor, it was good enough that Balor made like look like he could beat Kross at points, because remember, you're dealing with a big size difference. Finn's a very lean, smaller guy compared to a much larger, imposing figure in Karrion Kross. But they did a well enough job to make it look competitive enough, to make it look plausible enough and keep going. Yeah. The way they worked around certain things. But the interesting thing is, like, so there was a lot of, undecidedness whether you had, Karrion Kross, was he going to win or was he going to lose and maybe go to main roster? Because he seems like more of a main roster guy, right?
He's a Vince guy. I mean, Vince probably just like, look at the muscularity, he's just like,
exactly. It's like the guy just looks like a main roster guy. So you were wondering, would that happen? Would he go to the main roster, lose this match, and go in? So then you have Finn Balor. Like, what do you do with him, right? He comes back to NXT, wins the title, and goes on from there. But in the end, Kross battered and destroyed Finn Balor. It just was too much for Finn Balor. Bashed him in the back with those big forearms, pretty much like destroyed him physically. And Karrion Kross is the NXT champion. It was a little anticlimactic. So. It was a little anticlimactic at the end, right? He just hit him with the big forearm. He hit him with a bunch of moves, then hit him with the big forearm. He collapsed, and he just pinned him. I think
that's like another thing. The finishes on this show were just very like that's how it ended. Like all this stuff, and like I thought it was a well planned out match. Like the smaller guy working on a body part and trying to bring the big bastard down, but then he was just too much for him. Like it was a classic story. It's been working since wrestling first started. But the finish was like, that's what we're doing. Even like just hit him on the back and he collapsed. I was like, come on, man, this is like for the NXT Championship, which should always be on should be the main event and be the final show. But that's just me. I'm old school that way. Yeah. But every match ended anticlimactic. We were like, why is it ending that way? It felt off. Everything felt off tonight.
It did feel off. And then the fact that you have the 2 nights during the middle of the week, I think is what hurts it, right? So you have like the Wednesday night you're watching, you're accustomed, you're already conditioned to watch that on Wednesday night, and then you have to go on Thursday night, and then after you have to watch this again. It's a longer show. I think that's what hurt the pay-per-view in general. But I'd say it was bad. There's no such thing as a bad takeover.
Cock of you, bro. It's a cock of you nowadays.
So it's like there's no such thing as a bad NXT takeover, right? So like Kross is your champion, fine. A lot of people might be upset by it. Some people don't like Kross because it's the bigger guy and they want the smaller, I don't know, indie looking guys there. But he's an
indie guy.
Yeah, he is, right? But he has his appearance isn't. So he's he's a legit guy. He's a money guy. You can make money off of this guy. That's why he's champion again. Triple H knows what he's doing. He knows who to put the title on. And it's the guy that should have been champion from the beginning. He got hurt, so now they just give it back to him and go to the run they were supposed to have with him previously. That's all it was. You're just pressing the reset button here because you got him back. The story took a while to get to it where it was, but now it is where it is. We'll see what Balor does. The interesting thing about this is what happens to Balor after this. Does he go back and then maybe he challenges again as Demon? Maybe he comes back as Demon. A lot of ways to go.
I don't want to go back to the main roster. I feel like he should just stick on maybe go to the UK or that Walter Finn thing that we always wanted.
Yeah.
Bring that back. No, take over Brooklyn or wherever the next takeover SummerSlam is. That's a big money match that we've all wanted to see for last year.
And it makes sense. Like Finn is a guy you could see defeating Walter as like a David and Goliath matchup, the real underdog. But he has to be a babyface. He has to be like the real underdog, fight from underneath the entire match, and just kind of sneak that win in there to beat Walter for that UK championship. I think it'd be a really, really good pop and a moment. So but overall, Kross champion. It was a solid match, good match. It's pretty much.
I'm excited for the run. I'm excited for his title run. It got derailed the first time. Hopefully this time he's healthy, and he looked healthy at the end of the fight. So hopefully he's all right.
That's the thing you're hoping for at the end. Right? He stays healthy, but let's see what happens. I mean, it's like again, these matches are all kind of in the same tier. You can't really separate them too much. I'm just a more favorite of the ladder match style, the 2 titles. So I put that on top of night 2. But next thing is the unsanctioned match. Kyle Oreilly versus Adam Cole is the main event, and this match took forever. This is one of those Edge Orton WrestleMania, Tommaso Ciampa Gargano in that weird cinematic match took forever too. It's just a long match. Match should have ended 20 minutes earlier, and it comes to the point where you do so many things in a match that don't get pinfalls, and you go for 40 minutes doing that with these big spots. Not like a regular wrestling match, right? It's a big weapon spot. There's a nasty bump that Adam Cole took on a suplex on the announce table, which was nasty. That should have had him lose there. So in the end, you have Kyle O'Reilly putting a chain around his shin and dropping it from the top rope on Adam Cole's back, and he gets the win there. So O'Reilly wins. So I thought it was a little bit of a surprise, but I understand why they're doing it to build O'Reilly as like a single star to be a contender for the NXT Championship later on, and you want to keep him that way. Fine, whatever. But in the end, you have him getting stretchered out, Cole does, and Kyle O'Reilly's kind of just looking like, he's conflicted about what he had to do to his former friend. So, but then they just ended the show, so there wasn't anything after, like set up anything else. So it's just like a conclusion, and a conclusion of a storyline that was really good, but the match was way too long, way too long, and it brings it down notches for me because of that length of it, and it takes me out of it when it's so long and doing so many crazy things to each other, that it's just like ended already. I mean, because what are you gonna believe at that point?
Like, I don't mind a long match. I mean, I'm not against a long match, but the pace has to be smarter. Like, if you're gonna start off, keep it in ring, scientific for the first part of the match, and they did so, but they should have gone a little longer. Then they got too hardcore. But and I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to create this this is the hatred, and it's gonna take they want to kill the other person. They're gonna take every breath of them. It's gonna be Doomsday or Superman. Both guys are just gonna crash into each other and just there's out of exhaustion that they're both going to die. I know that's what they're trying to go for, but in a wrestling match where you got to keep some of the tension for an hour, you got to work it out a little better. Because then after a while, all these spots become just you don't even remember the spots. They're list off falling on a chair, this over here, and then on a table, and then we got chains around their knees, and that's the finish. It's just how come the part where he jumped through the freaking stage, how come that didn't end the fight? I think it would have been cool if it would have ended there and both guys just couldn't get up. I think that would have been a better story to tell, but I don't know. I didn't love the layout of the match. Just too many spots. It got convoluted. You don't remember. I can't remember one spot besides them jumping into the thing. I can't really remember anything else. Even the ladder, even the announce table thing, just kind of is a blur. Just too much stuff happened, or it's hard to keep up with. And Kyle O'Reilly's left elbow is just distracting as all fuck. It's just it's so gross. Can he pop it? What is wrong with it? Is that the way it's going to be for the rest of his life? It's disgusting. Like, it's just gross. It's like
Yeah.
a third head going on there. It's just disgusting.
But you're right. Like, so they do so much stuff that all kind of melds together. You kind of just, you
Yeah.
can't, discern from certain things. You can't really remember a ton. But the finish was just another anticlimactic finish. Where it's just like he
it's just
drops
like-
a knee on him from the top rope with the thing, and then it's just over.
And that's the way it ends. Like, it's just like, after all that, the chain to the back, that's what kills it.
That's
Not running through, not having chairs being thrown on their spines, all this crazy bumps, none of that stuff. It's just again, like, that's where maybe the old school in us is like, just make it make sense. Like, the psychology and the logic just wasn't there for me, where it's like all these moves, and like the fact that these matches don't have blood.
Yeah,
like,
that's another thing.
Think about what his wife went through in AEW, or the blood and all that crap, and just added to like the lore of the match. It felt like a real fight. When you have a match like this and there's no blood, it takes away from it. I know the rule, especially during COVID, all this stuff, you don't want body fluid going all over the place, but it just, I don't know, it loses the luster, it loses the realism of a death fight, a fight to the death, without any blood. It's just, that doesn't flow.
For it to be the match you want it to be, they should have had some type of blood, some type of something like that. But it's just a lot of moves, a long match, and it brings it down notches. I mean, I would say night 2, best match, probably the ladder match. I would have to say.
Yeah, I would say.
It's all subjective.
But they were all pretty even.
Yeah, they're all pretty even. It's all subjective in the end. You can pick whichever one you want. Some people think differently, and some people like different stuff. But guys, that's a review. NXT Takeover, Stand Deliver, the final night 2.
Did you like the show? Did Stand deliver?
Yeah, I mean, it delivers. It's NXT Takeover. They always kind of do. I just thought it was gonna be the best NXT Takeover of all time, which it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
No.
I thought it was gonna be like the best NXT Takeover of all time, which it wasn't. But lofty expectations, it can only fail. It can only like disappoint you in the end.
Sometimes.
But guys, that's a review. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let us know in the comment section below what you guys thought of NXT Takeover as a whole. What did you think on night 1? Did you like night 2 better? What matches did you like the best? Let us know in the comment section below what you guys thought of the entirety of NXT Takeover. That's the video we have for you guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and if it doesn't work, another job.
Later, Mark.